Welcome to the Gen Z Marketer podcast, where we have marketing conversations and everything in between. So, in this episode, I actually invited a friend of mine who is also a content creator on Instagram. Normally, I would ask about that, but instead, I invited her to talk about her business, Perk Studios. So, our guest for today is Franz Flores. So, hi, Franz, how are you?
Hi, James. I'm doing great. I hope you're doing great as well.
Yeah, so why, of course, I know you already, but for those who are
Yes.
listening, yeah, why don't you tell them a bit more about yourself?
Okay, so again, hi everyone. I'm Franz Flores. I'm the owner and founder of Perk Studios. I actually majored in marketing management back in college and took a short course in fashion design as well. I worked in the e commerce industry for 3 years and I was a marketing specialist for a renowned fashion designer. Right now, I'm just focusing on the business, and I have a few silent projects as a content creator. And when I'm not working, I spend my time just working out, watching movies, TV shows, and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. And actually, of course, I know the story, of course, of Perk Studios or what you've been through for it, and basically, it's also your kind of main hustle right now, right?
Yes, it is. It is. It's only what I do right now. And yeah, things have been going great, and I've been learning a lot from it, work career wise, and even about myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, I remember what Perk Studios was like on its early days, but of course, for those who don't know, why don't you walk us through that story of basically how was Perk Studios born?
Oh, okay. Actually, Perk Studios started as a creative Instagram account. I wanted a space where I can share my knowledge and experiences in the fashion and interior design industry. Something like Pinterest, but I wanted it to be more personal where my followers can freely comment or message me if they have any questions or like what content they'd like to see next. So last year I started posting about how to decorate your bedroom, organize your kitchen, and other DIY projects. So basically, Perk Studio started something like a blog. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually I like pretty much, yeah, I remember that it was pretty much like a blog. It was an outlet for you to express your creativity or something like that, right?
Yes. Yes, it is.
And
It is.
the transition basically of it of suddenly becoming a business like an organization and something like that. What was it like for you? Like what made you think that, oh, maybe I want to start a business on organizing, or I want to transition the, like what you said, like my blog into a business?
Actually, that's a great question. What really pushed me to do it is I experienced it kasi like what happened was I started redecorating and organizing our house last year, the first lockdown of March 2020. And whenever I go to hardware stores or the mall, I think that, oh, I wish they have this. Oh, I wish they can do this and stuff like that. You know, when you like, I have this idea in my head of what I wanted the house to look like and the stuff that I need. But at that time, it wasn't available in the market yet. There wasn't like a lot of things I could purchase in the mall or online because last year, um, not a lot of businesses switch online that fast. It was like a long process. So there wasn't really available a lot of available products then that I could purchase. So then I thought, oh, maybe I could start it. So that's how I transitioned from being like a creative blog to offering homeware products and stuff like that.
Right, yeah. So what I'm getting from it is one, it's your interest. And another thing is basically you identify that there's a gap in the market or that it's not being offered as much as it is now, right?
Yes, I agree.
And actually, I think, I mean, the trend, I would agree also, like how the lockdown, I think pretty much started a trend here in the Philippines of people basically starting. to organize their stuff, getting organized, building their coffee nooks, things like that. And I think Homebodies is also a huge contributor to that
Yes. Are you a
trend, right?
member? Are you a member of
I am.
Homebodies?
I am.
Yes,
And
me
so,
too. Me
yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean, for me, I think I joined the group originally just because for me, like as a marketer, like okay, I just want to see what it's like. I want to see
Yeah.
like how people behave. But now it's like a 2 million member group that a lot of people. It's just really insane, like what that group has
Yes, it,
accomplished.
it
And
really grew a lot in just like a year. Like imagine like 2 million people already joined. So that means like those 2 million people really started this journey of like organizing their house, their spaces. And let me just share. My aunt actually started redecorating her house. And I asked her why, because I was curious as well. I was like, Tita, why did you start redecorating? Like, what really drive you to do it? So I asked her why she started redecorating her, talaga, decoration. Sobrang different from how her house looked like before the pandemic. And then she told me that every year their family would go on trips like out of the country or out of town when of course the pandemic we're not allowed to travel as much. So she said, no, oh, since I'm spending a lot of time here at home, why not make my home more, more appealing, more relaxing, since of course a lot of us spend our time at home, diba? So I
yeah,
got it because that's what I felt also. Like before I'm rarely at home because both of us will live far, right? So the time we
yeah,
spend at home is not as much
it's
as
just,
the time we
yeah,
spend at work.
yeah. It's just
So
to rest. You're at
yes,
home just to sleep.
exactly.
Yeah,
So that's what I thought also. Is like that's my reason also before. Like I wanted to have a more relaxing space. Since I'm gonna spend, I don't know, maybe in the next 2 years, we're still gonna be at home, right? So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I
I
think
see
a
that's the
lot of us, like almost everyone feels the same. That's why everyone started redecorating their house.
Yeah, that's true. I think because also of that, all of us being in lockdown or in quarantine, and we have, I think I'm not sure how much of the population still has a work from home setup, but for me, I'm still in a work from home setup indefinitely. So I think also that need to redecorate or reorganize is really stemming from that. That basically your home is everything right now, and like you're restricted or you're staying at your home, and what you really need to do is just really improve your space so that you're able to live better or you're able to work better, right?
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, that's true. For me personally, also I also have plans actually here in our household, friends, just to share. Then we do have plans to renovate the house, which is why I think also like me joining Home Buddies was also pretty much beneficial, because I was like, oh, I need these ideas on how, like, what we can do once we're renovating the house, like, once we're furnishing it, something like that. So yeah, I think it's an industry that has really boomed in the pandemic, and I don't think it's going to slow down in the next few months or years,
Yeah, I
especially.
agree with you on that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree.
especially organizing. I mean, in the US, organizing is like an industry. It's really big. It's normal. For us, it's really suddenly growing. And I think, like, I'm not sure if you've seen the Home Edits show on Netflix.
Yes, yes,
So,
I did.
yeah,
Yeah.
diba? Diba, you have Marie Kondo, and then you have the Edit. And then all of these shows really, I think also is influencing consumer behavior and thinking like, hey, we have to get organized. We have to, do whatever to make our home better, right?
Yeah, the industry is very promising. It's like what from what I see, it's just starting right now and it's continued to grow in a very fast pace and I don't think it's ever going to slow down. Cuz right now like you we're actually renovating the house as well. And my mom suddenly had this thought also. Now, yeah, you know what? I think it's time for us to like also renovate the house because we've been living here with our grandparents for I don't know, for like the past 20 years. And
Yeah.
like my mom said that we won't be able to travel soon as well. So why not use that money to just, make the house parents feel like you're in a vacation also.
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. And I think another contributor, we have IKEA here, right? It's opening
Yes, it's opening
anytime soon.
soon.
So, I think really in the Philippines it's just going to continually grow. And, I think it's exciting to see where that goes, especially for the nature of your business or, similar businesses on the industry, because it's really going to change, or it's really going to influence consumer behavior.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, of course, I think, Perk really, how it started or versus how it's going for you right now. Ultimately, I think it's, would you say it's like your passion project?
It is actually when I started it, the bio that I put was a passion project. Because of course, I think at that time when I started Perk Studios, I didn't have a job, and of course, I was supposed to have a job in March, a new job, and then I think the hiring suddenly they stopped the hiring because of the lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course I was anxious, I was super worried, depressed and stuff like that. And then it hit me. Oh, instead of me like spending all this time worrying and getting anxious, why not just do something I love? Like, because I've always loved designing, drawing, and stuff like that since I was a kid. But I just kind of stopped. I didn't have that working. And last year I had this thought, I'm just gonna get back into it. It makes me happy, and it's like something new. I'm gonna start to learn again. And then when I started it, it felt fulfilling. It really did. It's like I missed that feeling. You know that when you were so passionate about something when you were a kid,
Yeah.
like how
Yeah.
kids are when they enjoy something. I felt that feeling again when I started Brick Studios. So I could, yeah, it's really a passion project for me. Especially that I've always loved doing it, and I finally had the time to do it again.
Yeah, actually, I like how you said that, because actually, my platform or the podcast is also like, based on that story. It's also pretty similar. The reason why I started it and the reason why I'm still doing it, it's because, it's born out of a passion. For me, I just really want to talk about marketing and things like that. So I wanted an outlet, and here I have it. So also what I'm getting from like what you said, other than it's a passion project, like, you have that sense of fulfillment in what you're doing. Like, you have your outlet for creativity, you're able to like somewhat express yourself. And I think, would you say like that sense of fulfillment is what drives you in pursuing this passion?
Yes, actually. But not just that fulfillment of doing it, but fulfillment because what really drives me into pursuing my passion and this business is I've always wanted to be a businesswoman. I'm not sure if I mentioned that to you before, but I really
Yeah.
wanted to make a living out of something that I love to do. I want to be able to support my family now and my future family out of it. I mean, of course, who doesn't want that, right? And
Yeah.
me, I'm very passionate about a lot of things. I don't just have hobbies or interest. When I like something, when I'm interested at something, I really love it. I mean, I love fashion, I love art, interior design, organizing, coffee, food, and so much more. Because there's so much things you can do out of everything you're passionate about. And that's the beauty of it. Like there's so much things you can explore. There's so much potential. Just imagine, like sometimes I imagine myself putting up a coffee shop, or sometimes I imagine myself starting my own clothing line. And not just that, like you will discover a lot about yourself in the process. But of course, like any other
Yeah.
job, pursuing your passion will cost you a lot, right? Like it will take a lot of money,
Yeah.
energy, and time. Like, of course, it sounds so amazing that you're doing something that you love, but you have to sacrifice a lot as well. But when you accomplish
Yeah. Yeah.
something and you get a step closer to your goal, it's so fulfilling, eh? Because you're not just doing it for yourself, but for the people you love. And I think that's what makes it really fulfilling, and that's what drives me into pursuing it.
Right. I like that you said that, because from what I'm getting and from what I really know about you, France, you've always been someone who is, very passionate and very purposeful. Like, you like doing things that, drive you. Like, you're not someone who's, doing things just because. And like, now hearing you, like, how fulfilled you are for in doing this, I'm actually really really happy for you, because ultimately, for me personally also, I think at the end of the day, what's important is feeling more fulfilled than accomplished. Because accomplishment, accolades are great, awards are great, but
Yeah.
nothing feels good, or nothing feels the best, like, when you're fulfilled in what you're doing.
Yeah. Because before, like, I think I had this mindset that when I do something, I wanted to be recognized for it. You get it? But now I'm no longer after that. Because you know how everyone was so into fame, like they want to be known at things. I used to be like that when I was younger, like, oh, I want to be famous by doing this and stuff like that. But then as I grew older, I realized there's so much more than that. Like simply doing what you want, um I mean, like doing what you love, it's very
Yeah.
fulfilling, eh? Like you don't need the awards, like you said, you don't need like the recognition, the fame, because like within you, you're already fulfilled. Like what more can you ask for?
Yeah, that's true. And actually, yun nga, because I really feel like I'm getting the vibe that you find this also very purposeful. So would you say, like, this your passion is also like your purpose into like life in general, or doing things?
You know, I used to believe that it was. Before, I thought that your passion is also your purpose. But after watching this Disney Pixar movie, Soul, have you watched it?
Yeah. I haven't, but I pretty much know how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when I realized that my passion isn't my purpose in life. I don't know exactly, to be honest, what my purpose is right now, but I know that it's a lifelong journey. Like, I have different purposes for different seasons of my life. Because before, when I believed that my passion was my purpose, I know that I'd beat myself up every time I would fail. Like, I'll get super frustrated because then my mindset was, oh, this is my purpose in life. If I don't succeed with this, I'm a failure, my life's over, so I have to keep pushing myself. That's what I was thinking, and that was wrong. That wasn't healthy at all. Because
Yeah.
I realized, because if I kept doing something that is not meant for me at that moment, I won't be able to move forward and discover what's really right for me. I mean, wait, don't get me wrong, ah. I'm not saying that you should give up,
Yeah.
but I'm saying maybe at that moment you're meant for other things, and you're not ready yet for like what you want or what you're passionate about. So I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think, oh yeah, on that thought, like, on that sense, I think, yeah, if we're looking at soul, or I think even personally on my experience, I mean, we're still in our mid 20s, right? So I
Yeah.
think defining your purpose is still, like, there's still a lot in life that we have to experience for us to be able to realize what our purpose is. But I think, like, what I remember in soul, basically, if you tie your passion to your purpose or something like that, sometimes once you get there, you'd realize that it's not exactly what you thought it would be, something like
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
and for me personally, I've been in several scenarios, and with that setup, now once you get something, you realize, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. So I think, yeah, I get what you mean with not necessarily tying your passion and your purpose, because I feel like passion is more of your drive in
Yes.
order to achieve,
Exactly.
or in order to figure out what your purpose is. So I think, oh yeah, I agree with that. It's also not ideal for you to tie the two together, because parang it would basically consume you, if you
Yeah.
tie the two together. But yeah, it's good to have, like, your passion as your drive to identifying or understanding your purpose.
Yes, exactly. I agree with you on that. It's really your drive, but you can't really say that it's your only purpose in life. Like it will help you identify what your purpose is in life. So I think, yeah, like what you said, tying that up together is not going to be healthy. It's really consuming because let me just share that. Um, when I was a kid, I've always wanted to be a fashion designer, always. So I really got frustrated. Like this time when I told my mom, in the middle of college, I wanted to enroll at a fashion school. She was like, no,
Yeah.
finish college first and stuff like that. So I got frustrated. I was like, okay. So what I did was, after college, I worked for like a year, and then I entered into fashion school. You remember that, James?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
And then I was like, okay, it's finally time for me to pursue my passion, because ever since then I was thinking that this is my purpose in life. So I really have to do everything I can to like to make it happen. And then when I entered fashion school, I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah.
But there was just something missing. So there was something. It felt different, and I was like, oh, this is it. I thought it's gonna be different. Like I'm gonna feel
Yeah.
more excited or fulfilling and stuff like that. But no, I didn't. I didn't at all. That's why I stopped going to fashion school. And
Mm,
it's not because I didn't like it or anything. I still love
yeah.
fashion. I still love designing and all that. It's just that I really pushed myself to do it. Like I worked twice as hard just to have enough money to pay for my tuition fee and stuff like that. And then every time like I created something that wasn't as good as my other classmates, I'd be super frustrated and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that it wasn't healthy. It really consumed me. Like I started thinking, "Oh, okay, it's I'm not good at this. So what
Yeah.
am I going to do in life?" Cuz I thought that was my purpose. And then
Mm,
that's when I realized, no, okay, it's not. It's really not. It's just, it drive me. Like, I
yeah.
had this drive to work hard and stuff like that. But when I did it, felt, um, it didn't feel like what I expected it to feel.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why like now you're redirected to Perk and now you're working on Perk. So at least
Yeah.
so far, yeah, 'di ba? I think life is really funny in that sense. Like
It's super
it
funny.
redirects you into something else, right? But I mean, you're still doing like I think one thing is you've said you've always been creative, and at least like maybe fashion wasn't that outlet for you, but now you have Perk, which is most likely, or maybe it is like must fit for you, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
pero I'm curious. I mean, because of course you said you've always been in this like creative, you've always been this creative person. So, like, when it comes to like being creative, like, how do you stay inspired in an industry or even in general? Like, how do you stay inspired in being creative? Because honestly, even for me personally, sometimes it can be exhausting when you have to think of ideas, when you have to be creative. So, how do you stay inspired?
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. Especially now, it's super challenging to stay creative and inspired. Especially at this time, it's hard to stay
Yeah,
creative when you're at home 24/7. If you asked me this before the pandemic, I'd say I stay creative through experiences because I love traveling. I love discovering different cultures, learning trends in different countries, meeting new people, working with different brands, and going to social events. So you learn a lot when you immerse yourself in the industry, but it's so different now. It's hard to immerse
yeah,
yourself when everything is done virtually. You don't get the full experience. Unlike back in 2018, 2019, I'm sure you remember this. I was
yeah,
invited to a lot of events. Like sometimes, even I'd get out of work early because I have an event to attend to,
yeah,
right? And when
yeah,
I go to events, I learned so much because I got to meet people in the same industry, and especially you get to meet professionals who share their journey and their stories. So it's really a challenge for me to stay creative at this time because I'm just at home and I
yeah,
don't get to go to events, of course. And right now, I often get this quote unquote creativity block. I don't know if you've experienced that. Like, I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know what content to do next. Like even planning the content became a struggle, which I used to enjoy doing when my creative juice was like flowing constantly. So I don't know, like most days I really find myself super frustrated because like I don't know what content should I post, what content should I create, and there's like so much pressure. I don't know why. I'm not sure if
Right.
you feel the same.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I would agree on you on that na because we're at home, sometimes it's hard to be creative. Like especially for me right now, I'm working. I've never seen my teammates physically. But I still, I've still met them. I still talk to them. We still brainstorm. But it's not the same as when you're meeting people. It's when you're going outside,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so now I stay inspired by sharing what's meaningful to me. It's like it's my turn to share my experiences because, like I mentioned, I started Perk Studios because I wanted a space where I can freely express myself, my interests, things I like, and what I've learned. So seeing how the content I create and products I offer impact other people is inspiring itself. So that's how I shifted from being this super outgoing, going to social events and stuff, to creating more content that's meaningful to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that actually because, actually even in content marketing, in a content driven world, sometimes we just push content for the sake of it. And
Yeah.
then I think one thing that some marketers forget is that content, it has to be meaningful. It has to add value, or it has to, at least for you, especially you want to feel inspired or you want it to evoke something. So, so yeah, I like that you said that. And I actually, I like how you also mentioned that sometimes, yeah, nga, you're not creative or you have creative blocks because that's really the reality in this industry, you can't have, I mean, it's amazing if you have ideas all the time, but at the end of the day sometimes you just run out. Sometimes you have bad days when you can't just really feel creative, and I think that's okay. I mean, at least we're acknowledging that we have these good and bad days, but the end of the day you still bounce back, you still create. What's important is like you're still taking that initiative to create and just put meaningful content out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree with you.
Right. So, of course, now, like, oh no, we talked about a bit more about yourself and really what's the story behind Perk or what inspired you to do it, or but basically, if you were to sum it up, if you were to tell people what really Perk is or the essence of Perk Studios is, what would you say?
Oh, I think the very essence of Brick Studios is to continuously improve and grow. Like the brand name itself, Perk, means to improve or make something more lively and exciting. So Perk Studios has so much potential. There's so much things you can create and start out of it. So it's not just a store where you can buy Homer products and stuff like that. I feel like in the long run, it's gonna be more than that. It's continuously improving, continuously growing, and yeah. So I think it's not just the brand itself, but how it impacts other people. Like what I said, that hearing people say that,
Yeah.
oh, this your products really improve my home, and
Yeah.
everything looks so more appealing now and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because I'm currently working in branding now. So for me, it's really important for brands to have, something like really a drive and essence or values because, anyone could really have a business, but not everyone has like a purposeful or really a brand that, stands for something.
Yeah, especially now, like a lot of small businesses are opening here and there. And sometimes I think that some people just start a business because it's a trend. Like, oh, this product is a trend, we should start selling it.
Yeah.
And while I think that's totally okay, but if I think they don't have the right intention for it, um it's just not as meaningful as they think it is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Now we talked about like really talked about the creative side or the back, the backstory of work and things like that. Now let's talk about how, basically your passion is now your business, and let's talk about really the business side of things. So first, like, my question is, what has business been like for you so far since, wait, I'd like to ask pala, how many months has Perk been a business
I
so far?
launched it January 20. So it's been like, oh, five, is it 5 months already? 5 to 6 months, yeah.
Right. So half a year. So what has this half year been like for the business so far?
For a startup business, it's been doing great considering the pandemic and all the lockdowns and quarantines. Because when I planned this last year, a few people really doubted the idea. Like they thought
Mm.
it's a wrong move to start a business when everything else is closing and the economy is down. Well, of course, I thought that too, but I really believed in the idea because I experienced it. Like what I shared earlier, I started redecorating and organizing the house back in March 2020, the first lockdown. And
Yeah.
whenever I go out, um, I wish like they had something that I really wanted or like what I envisioned. So at that time, like what I said, there wasn't really much available. But if there was, it was like out of our budget. So that's why I started Brick Studios. But now
Yeah.
it's a competitive industry. There are a lot of stores here and there offering more and more home improvement products. And even, yeah, like you said, IKEA is opening up soon, diba?
Yeah.
So now it got more exciting because I'm challenged to like step up and plan how I can improve or expand the business.
Right. Right, yeah, that's true. Because yun nga, you have these businesses coming in, homebodies. I think a lot of people were also
Yeah.
inspired to start a business. Oh, this is the trend. We should start, you know, selling this or something like that. So, yeah, I think that's really, the interesting part of it is like the trend really is driving the industry. And yeah, I mean, even for despite it's been 6 months, I feel like it's been longer, honestly. I don't know,
Yeah.
pandemic, when you don't have a sense of time anymore because of the pandemic. I actually felt
Yeah.
that the business has been around longer, but I think 6 months is still pretty good naman. It's done so well. Despite also, of course, you consider the circumstances of the pandemic, and of course, you're doing stuff mostly on your own. So I think, yeah, I really want to congratulate you in doing so well
Yeah.
so
Thank
far.
you. Thank you,
Yeah.
James.
And
Yeah.
I look forward. I agree with you. It's going to be exciting because there's going to, IKEA, there's a lot of things happening. So it's going to be interesting to see how the industry will grow in the Philippines. Maybe it's going to be the next tourism industry. It's just going to boom or something.
Yeah, exactly. Cuz
Diba?
right
Kasi,
cuz right now we can't travel. Everyone's at home. So like how everyone in home buddies, how everyone's like posting their houses and it really inspires you to like really
recreate
redecorate your
mo.
and
Yeah.
'di ba? Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I see a lot of people, like, no matter where you are in your status in life, just really making that conscious effort to improve your home space, improve your living situation or whatever. So I think it's just going to continue because of that trend, because of us having a desire to really make our home like homier. Because it's not just where you sleep anymore. It's where you work as well. Like, even like the home office trend is also booming. A lot of people are buying stuff to improve their desks or whatever, diba?
Yes, and I think people right now became more mindful when it comes to their spending. Like I think right now they want to purchase items that will really last them for a long time and not just for that moment. Because that's how I change when it comes to my purchasing habit, my shopping habit. Right now, I just only purchase products that I really get to use a lot or like something that can really improve the house. Because before I would always shop for clothes and shoes, and right now I
Yeah.
don't get to use them. I don't get to go
Yeah.
out. So I think even with my mom, she'd agree with me on this that we've spent like so much for our house, and it feels great because you know that you'd be able to use it for a long time, and years from now you'd still be able to have those stuff with you, and you know that, oh, you didn't just spend it just because it's a trend or something like that, but because it has meaning. And yeah, so I think it goes the same with everyone. Like, of course,
Yeah.
sometimes like I'd buy clothes at times, but then I don't go out anymore. So why not
Yeah.
buy something for my room, for my coffee nook and stuff like that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that because personally, that's how my consumption or my spending habits changed as well. I think it also has something to do with, you're conscious as well with your spending because it's the pandemic. So you're not
Yeah.
in if you'll still have a job the next day, all of those
Yeah.
things, all of those worry. And for me also, yeah, I agree with you. Before I used to spend stuff my money on clothes, on experience. I mean travel and you buy food outside. But now, I'm able to save up or sometimes, I'd put it in my small businesses, yung money. Or sometimes, I'm just mindful and just thinking of the long-term value. Like, okay, should you buy makeup if you're not going
Yeah.
outside? I mean, just do skincare instead. I mean, skincare is more long term. It's more, if you have great skin, you don't have to wear makeup as much. Something like
Yeah.
that. Like you're being really mindful and conscious of your behavior. And I think that's why home improvement is also doing so well because people have recognized that it's not just about looking good. It's also about feeling good. And really,
Yeah.
the way your space looks, how you organize it, it really influences the mood or the well-being of the people who are, at home, right?
Yeah.
So, when you're running your business, Jake, so far, what have been the good experiences or learnings that you've had so far?
Oh, the good experiences, of course, would be the customers' feedbacks and reviews. Because I love it when they tell me how their homes look better because of the products, and when they recommend me to their relatives and friends. Because when I planned what products to offer and when I designed the labels, I was afraid that it wouldn't appeal to the market because we all have different tastes and preferences. So, what looked appealing to me may not be the same for you. So,
Right.
hearing all those reviews inspires me more to create. But of course, reviews aren't always good. There will be criticisms. And luckily, I've never had a rude customer. So when there's something that didn't reach their expectations, they would tell me nicely. And I appreciate all of that. That's what
Yeah.
I've learned. Criticisms and negative reviews actually help you. Because of those quote unquote negative reviews, I was able to improve my business and how I operated things. Because I remember I had this customer one time told me that, oh, your labels got sticky. I think it's because of the moist or the heat.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't it's kind of bothering to hold
Yeah.
or to touch. And that's when I realized, okay, I have to change this because if it happened to her, it might happen to like the future customers who are gonna purchase. So I
Right.
planned like, okay, instead of um, doing glossy labels, I'm gonna switch to matte labels. So
Yeah.
it's not gonna get sticky, or it's not gonna get scratched and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I improved based off one review, and it really helped me a lot because the business really improved so much when I started listening closely to what my customers are saying.
Right. I like that, because I think any success or a business to be successful in general, really, you really have to listen to your customers because they know best. They're the ones really trying out the product. And also at the same time, as you said, it's opportunity for growth. It's opportunity to improve your service, your products. And I like that you really applied that in what you're doing so far.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
did.
'di ba? So of course you have those like you would say that the good things about it is that you've really grown and that you've learned a lot from your customers so far. But of course when you're running a business, there's also like a downside to it. So what has been like the downside for you so far?
Oh, I think you'd agree with me on this, James. Starting a business, running your own business will take a lot of manual labor. Because when
Yeah.
you start your own small business, even if it's just small, you will do everything. I'm not even exaggerating. You will literally do everything. Because you're going to be the accountant, you're going to be the marketing, the photographer, the graphic designer, even the fulfillment. Because in
Yeah.
my case, from picking up the stocks to designing the labels to putting on the labels to taking photos to editing to posting to running ads to packing
Yeah.
orders, I do it. And it's really
Yeah.
tiring. It's really tiring.
Yeah.
But it's also great. It's also great to experience. Though right now I don't do everything anymore. My family actually started working with me on this,
Yeah.
but doing those things in the beginning created a dynamic with the people I worked with. Because I experienced the work, I understood what needs to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, in the beginning it was super tiring, and there are times that I get super frustrated that, oh, I wish there was something where there was someone who can just do this, or I wish I could just hire this and that. But I realized, it's a great experience. I learned a lot from it, and now I know what it feels like. I know how I'm gonna treat the people I work with.
Yeah, right. That's true. I think also like you and I were incredibly fortunate to, before we started our small business or before we have these experiences that we worked in the industry. Like we know what
Yes,
the
yes,
e-commerce industry is like for us, I think that's also what's really at least a beneficial thing for both of us because we know how the industry works. So we know what needs to get done or basically we know if you want to start, okay, this is kind of how it goes. This is the flow.
yeah,
You have
yeah.
to
We're familiar
whatever.
with the flow, with how things run. So I think that experience in the e-commerce. I mean, we both work in the e-commerce for like 2 years. I mean, I stayed there for two
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and I started in the operations department before I moved to marketing. So I was really
Yeah.
hands on with the fulfillment. So at first I was like, I've always wanted to be in a marketing team. That it really in the beginning it frustrated me that I wasn't part of the marketing team, but now I understood it. Now, oh, I'm so happy that I um
Had
I
that
went, yeah, I
experience.
had that
Yeah.
experience because right now it helped me so much, like so much. Even the simple Excel sheets that we use, I apply it right now, the process, the flow, everything. So yeah, it's just it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, yeah, so maybe for people who are aspiring to start a business, maybe they don't have really the idea of like the work or how much work exactly you put into it behind the scenes. Because usually when you look at social media, some people, of course, they just show the products, they just show, oh, the items are ready to ship or something like that. But they don't really understand really the hard work that goes into it or on managing the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
for Diba? I mean, it takes a lot of work to manage the whole thing, even for big businesses. So I think, yeah, now that you've experienced that as well, like packing. I remember, the first time I experienced packing, I just had to help out the warehouse because of an 11/11 campaign that became
Oh.
too successful. So
Oh
I
my
went to
god,
the
yeah.
warehouse as a marketing person. I went to the warehouse. I helped them pack. I found it enjoyable. It's
Yeah,
just
me
just
too. Me
something
too.
fun about you get your packing list, you pack the items, and then I don't know why I feel like it's quite enjoyable because it's basically you like making effort to ship the item to the customer, something like that. But yeah, the whole thing is so so exhausting. I would agree with you on that. So shout out to anyone out there as well running their small
We
business.
feel you. We feel
Yeah,
you.
it's really a struggle, but it's a good experience. It's a good learning experience, especially if maybe someday you want to work in the e-commerce industry or something like that. It's really a
Yeah.
learning opportunity.
Yeah, sometimes when I see the 6-6 campaign, 11-11, 10-10, I get flashbacks of what was it like working in the e-commerce industry. and
Yeah.
doing the campaign because it was really tiring. Remember
Yeah.
that we had to stay in the office like until midnight?
Yeah.
Just,
Just stay up
yeah.
for the campaigns, just making sure everything is running smoothly. And even
Yeah.
during and the after is still also pretty exhausting because, you have to do all of these reports. And, for me, in my case, I experienced, customer service. So you have to answer all of
Yeah.
these customer inquiries. I remember how tiring that was. And I remember there was a point that even outside of work hours, I would respond to the messages just so that I could just lessen, the load or the messages that I have to reply to. It's tiring, but it's also, fun. It's a learning experience. I
Yeah.
can't imagine for you doing the whole thing, but I've been there. I know what it's like. So I just really want to pat you on the back. At least you've experienced that. So now, yeah, we talked about that, the good, the bad, and what the business is like. So I'm curious to know also. Of course, I do know some of the ideas that you have. But basically, what's next for Perk Studios? What's next for the business?
Oh, wow. There are actually a lot of things planned for Perk Studios this year. I'm planning of expanding, and actually this year I initially planned to open up a physical store already, but then something just hit me now. Oh, it's too early to do that, but
Mhm.
it's quite difficult to get things done right now because of the lockdowns and the quarantines, because you don't know like when you have to stop operations again. Because I remember like when we had lockdown again just recently, um they didn't allow non-essential travels and deliveries, right? So I
Yeah,
had to stop operations for like a week or two.
yeah,
And I just imagine, wow, if I opened up the store already, I'd have to close it right away.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just very unpredictable to do anything right now. So I'm just focusing on establishing the brand more. But for sure there's a lot of exciting things happening. I don't want to preempt yet. So yeah, let's just see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true naman na I agree. The pandemic has made everything so unpredictable for I think any business in general also. So it's hard to plan. It's hard to, but at the end of the day, all you have to do is do whatever it is that would make the business, float, something like that. So if it's for
Yeah.
you planning the brand, then go. Yeah, I think yeah, looking at your business, I think also like just really evaluating where the brand should go is I think one of the best things that you could do at this point, you know, because sometimes people or sometimes brands or even big businesses, sometimes they don't do that anymore. Sometimes they just forget to plan where the brand is
Yeah.
going. Or some don't
Yeah.
even have a brand. I have that inner frustration. I'm not gonna name names, pero yeah, basically you have these big brands who do not even have a brand or do not even have a brand direction. So it's nice that
Yeah.
you're looking into that.
Yeah, it's
You know,
important to establish the brand first, like before you expand further. Because, of course, when you start doing those big things, and while it's good, it can get overwhelming, or it might be, you probably just did that out of your excitement,
yeah,
and probably it won't end up, or you won't, the results may not be what you expected. So, because when I started thinking about the store, the stuff like that, I was like, it's so exciting to think about. But then
yeah.
I took a step back and said, oh, wait, I'm not established yet. Not a lot of people know Perk Studios yet. So that's what I'm going to focus on first.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Because sometimes, you have to also evaluate because, opening a store is an
Yeah.
investment, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is you have a lot to consider. And I think, sometimes, one of the things I learned in running a small business that you really have to be also conscious on where you want to invest next to grow the
Mm-hmm.
business.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, yeah, if you just be let your excitement you know rule your head, or you just go with feelings like, okay, no, maybe I should like do this, do that, and then you realize, oh no, maybe I should have invested it on something else, maybe
Yeah.
you should have improved on this instead, something like that. So yeah, I agree with you on that, and I'm glad that you're doing that, and I'm really excited for you. So now my next question is, of course, what's your as we're wrapping this up, of course, what is your advice for anyone who wants to pursue a passion project?
Um, I think, like what I mentioned before, don't see failure and rejection as a sign for you to stop. Like, like what I said, when you fail, it doesn't mean that you're not meant for that. Maybe it's not just right for you at the moment, and you may not be ready for it yet. Maybe you have to pursue other things first for you to experience and learn what you need. So when the time comes and God hands it over to you, you're more prepared.
Right.
And especially when you go through the creative block that I go through a lot,
Yeah.
um, don't beat yourself up for it. We all go through that, and you don't have to be so hard on yourself. Just it helps to just relax and recharge first, and just evaluate yourself, look deeper into yourself, and find what's meaningful for you. Don't think about what's going to appeal to the market or what's going to be the trend, because not all trends will be good for your brand.
Yeah.
You just have to look at what's right for you, what's right for your brand, what's meaningful for you and for the people, for your followers, and you'll be just fine. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I like that you said that because at the end of the day, really, we're all human and it's normal to go through, ups and downs and just really, let nature take its course, just trust the process. That's one thing that I've also really, sometimes you know things, but you need to constantly remind yourself now, okay, you
Yeah.
just need to trust the process. You just need to
Yeah.
let things take its course. Yeah. So about what's your advice for anyone who wants to start a small business?
Oh, I think we talked about this earlier. Take
Yeah.
your time to plan.
Yeah.
When you have an idea, write a business plan so you know if it's feasible. And if you have like the opportunity to talk to CEOs or businessmen or even your like past bosses, you grab that opportunity and you learn from them. And don't rush it, and don't be pressured thinking that people might beat you to your idea, because when you believe in your idea and your heart is in the right place, you'll be able to do it. Trust me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I think really for small businesses, I think we mentioned this also earlier, is that of course for small businesses, our budget is also, I think very limited. Some of us, like for me, when I started my small business, it was my last pay I got from my job before,
Yeah.
I lost it. So for me, it was pretty much like all in or something like that. It was an investment for me to like make income or something like that. So basically, yeah, for any small business, make sure you plan, make sure you study, like, just really think it through, right? Because
Yeah.
for you, what I like about what you also mentioned earlier is because the reason you also started the business is because you identified a need or a gap in the market. And that's
Yeah.
one thing also like any small business should look into because, it's a very saturated market for most industries. And, that's the reality. Honestly, chances are your unique selling proposition is not even unique because there's nothing such as unique anymore in
Yeah.
this world.
Yeah.
You know, it's a matter of finding a selling idea or
Mm-hmm.
identifying a need or gap in the market for you to address for your business to be successful. So yeah, just adding to what Fran said, basically, please also for any small business or marketers or anyone in general, always just really do your research, study things before you jump in because it's really, when you make your investment, you don't want it to go to waste.
Yeah. That's true.
So okay, Franz, before we wrap things up, do you have any other thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
I think I'm just gonna remind all of you that don't see failure and rejection as a sign for you to stop. Don't. Just see it as like just see it that maybe at that time you're not ready for it yet. So don't be afraid to pursue other things first. So you'll be prepared when it's finally your time and God hands it over to you. And also, if you want to start a small business out of your passion, out of something you love, even if you believe in the idea so much, plan it. Take time to plan because it will really help you. It will really guide you, and you'll see the direction where your business is going. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you said that because of course, yeah, just really a reminder for anyone really to, trust the process. I mean, for us France, we're in our mid 20s, so we've learned that
Yeah.
already. We do have some younger listeners, or maybe, anyone who just really needs a reminder. When you're going through something, just really trust the process. It may be tough. You might have a lot of questions as to why things are happening,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
honestly, we've had the ups and downs in life that eventually, life really plays out the way it's supposed to be. Everything happens for a reason. You're going to learn that as you go along. And of course, yeah, for small businesses, do plan things. Don't just jump right into it.
Yeah. And of course, pray. Always pray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So why don't you take this opportunity to invite everyone to check out Perk Studios?
Oh, all right. So, if you're planning to start redecorating or organizing your home, please check Perk Studios on Instagram for some tips and ideas. And not only that, we have variety of products available to help you organize as well. So follow us on Instagram. It's at perk.studios. Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Yeah. Thank you also, Franz, for a very meaningful conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't forget to check out Perk Studios on Instagram. Honestly, if you want to just even stay inspired, not just if you're still not sure if you want to buy, Perk really inspires to get to that point. If you also enjoyed this discussion, make sure to follow the podcast to get notified on the latest uploads. If you want to share your thoughts, suggest topics, or collaborate, visit our socials at the Gen Z Marketer Podcast on Facebook, at Gen Z MKT on Instagram, and at www.genzmkt.com.